is happening. So there's no confidence in the market. You have to buy when there's no confidence. If you buy here, people think maybe there's a chance of the bull run coming, but they're not sold on it. So there's a little bit of extra confidence in buying because people are a little bit more confident on the bull run happening. And that's why you pay a higher price. But it's still early days. There's still not much confidence. Now, optimism is, okay, this is a good rally. This is a good start. But we still have lots of time to accumulate, right? This is the beginning of the parabolic phase where confidence gets to a level where everyone is comfortable to buy in, right? And now at euphoria, everyone's got rich. Everyone was rewarded for buying dips. Everyone was rewarded for making dumb decisions like FOMO buying, buying parabolic rallies, etc. Everyone's rewarded for doing bad things. And all your friends got rich. And you can see all the fun that your friends are having, spending all their gains. And you realize, fuck, like, okay, this is as much social proof as I need. This is a good opportunity. And you start buying in when you have the most confidence that it's going to pay off. But unfortunately, confidence in markets is not what you want if you want to make money. Okay? And this is a bit of an explanation of what happens early in a bull run to late in a bull run. So at the start, in the disbelief phase, we have deep value, right? That's like the initial deep value. The market is severely undervalued. And then it goes towards a phase of value, right? So this is the disbelief phase. When something goes from being incredibly undervalued to, still undervalued, it's like the disbelief phase. And then to fair value. So fair value is probably here before things go ridiculous. Expensive is here. Super expensive is here. And sorry, actually I got that wrong. Expensive is like here, super expensive is here, and ridiculously expensive is this last phase. Okay? And this is what happens every bull run. Things go from being overvalued to undervalued to overvalued. And if I'm going to draw this to show you in another way, this is the fair value of crypto over time. And this is the bull and bear market cycles that happen around this, right? Now, what is it that causes crazy rallies and crazy dips? Well, one part of it is the emotions of fear and greed, right? Humans can't help but feel like they're missing out on something. And you have these feedback loops where someone buys in, right? Tells their friend makes money. Their friend tells their friend who makes money, who tells their friend who makes money. And it's this feedback loop of more and more people making money off the back of other people. And this is what creates basically parabolic bull runs. It's the positive feedback loop of everyone getting rich, telling their friends, everyone getting rich, telling their friends. And the inverse happens as well, a negative feedback loop. Everyone gets poor, they all sell, they get more poor, they sell more. Their friends realize, oh fuck, stay out of crypto, everyone's getting poor, they sell. No one comes in to buy, so there's more sellers, and it's just this perpetual pain, right? As well as this, though, there is another reason why we have crazy bull and bear market cycles. And this is related to the M2 growth from the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, the Bank of Japan, and the People's Bank. Is it People's Bank of China or something? Something like that. You can see here that at the top of the market, it is when we have a large amount of M2 growth. M2 refers to the money supply. It's one of the measurements of basically how much money is in existence. And growth of M2 is referring to how much the M2 is going up by. So when you have the amount of money in existence going up a lot, that is a sign of lots of money going into the system that people are receiving. And when people have more money, they tend to speculate on things more, right? And also, they tend to print lots of money when they want to basically support the economy. And when do they tend to want to support the economy? Well, it's usually when the economy is going bad. So what ends up happening is this. The stock market collapses. They realize they need to step in to stop it going down more. They start printing a bunch of money. This creates the beginning of a bull run, right? And they continue to print money. And they print so much money that it gives a 6 month in advance push onto the stock market. So like, let's say they printed money from this date to this date, right? Here to here. And the market, let's say this is like what the market's doing, right? The market's going sideways. They started printing. Now the market starts going up. The impact of this printing here actually is felt 6 to 12 months roughly out into the future, right? So and you can see this in the charts here. Look how much money is look how much the M2 was growing on 4th of August 2020. And that's at the beginning of the bull run. And you can see that even as the M2 was declining in February, right, the market was still bullish, right? Global M2 growth was slowing, but the market was still in a bull market until we got to November, and then it dropped off. But you can sort of understand here that, yes, markets are driven by fear and greed, but it's boosted by basically the things that the different the different, Fed, European central banks, the people who control the money, that they do around the world. Okay, and you can see that at the bottom, it's the same thing. They reduce their balance sheet because the market's, inflation's up or the market's overheated, whatever it is, and that tends to be where bottoms occur. So the cycle of fear and greed is made more extreme through the actions of central banks around the world. They would argue that they're controlling and maybe suppressing volatility, but I don't know. I don't know if they do. Like, the COVID rally was the most fucked thing ever. Inflation was like 30% in the US. If you measure it by if you look at the official numbers, it's maybe lower, but it was, roughly about 30%, let's say. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't know if you can really argue that they made the economy less volatile, but anyway, it's good for us in crypto. All right, let's get away from these shitty little drawings I did. What else we got? And yeah, another reason why market cycles tend to repeat is people never learn their mistakes. People understand, okay, I probably shouldn't buy when the market's pumping, but they just can't help themselves. They can't help. They never learn from their mistakes, right? But also, I think I said this in another video, the reason why market cycles tend to repeat is that maybe our generation learns not to buy when the market's euphoric, but how do you pass that lesson on to your kids? You can't. They can only learn that lesson through first-hand experience. So we have this constant birth of new people who have to relearn the same mistakes that our past generations did to re-lose all the money again in markets. So now that you know that you need to buy low and then sell high, which is the basic fundamental principle of investing, which I'm trying to teach you guys, how do you implement it? Well, and how do you mitigate the emotions of fear and greed? Well, I would say the number one step is follow a process. So every time you decide to buy or sell or want to buy and sell, you should have a checklist in your brain or either written down, probably first written down and then in your brain, about a certain criteria that has to be met for you to make decisions in the market. So as a general principle for any market that you invest in, I have created this little sheet just to give you a bit of a basic idea of what you would want to do. So buying criteria is basically what you need to see to buy, and selling criteria is what you need to see to sell. And this is the different sort of names for the criterias. So is there a resistance to executing? If the resistance to executing, like let's say what's the resistance to you wanting to buy right now? Is it really high, you don't want to buy? Or is it really low, you just really want to buy right now? If there is a low resistance to executing, you really want to buy right now, then you probably shouldn't buy. When you do markets properly, there should be a resistance to making every single decision that you do. It should feel really painful. It should feel like your gut's going to fall out. And that's how you make the most money. Like, the more painful the process, the more money you make. Okay? Now, the stage in the market cycle. So if you want to be a buyer, you should only be buying between anger to optimism. So let me show you where that is on the chart. So anger, as a long-term investor, you should only be buying between anger, so all of this period, and maybe up to optimism, right? Anything above here, this is not a long-term entry, I would argue. This is maybe shorter-term stuff, but you basically, as a long-term investor, want to be positioned below the beginning of this parabolic rally, okay? Next criteria, market sentiment. So whenever you go to buy or sell, if you want to buy, let's say, it should feel fearful. The market sentiment should be fearful. People should be shitting themselves. And if you want to sell, the market should be greedy. Everyone should be bullish, tweeting about, wow, the bull market's back, blah, blah, blah. Now, when you buy, it should be the first 1/8 of the market cycle. So similar to this, we should be in the first 1/8. And for selling, you should be in the final 1/8, roughly. Confidence in making a decision. You shouldn't be confident in these decisions from an emotional standpoint. It should feel really painful. You should feel like you're doing the wrong thing. And in terms of your intuition, maybe if you're a new investor, you won't have intuition, but over time you will. When you become a good investor, you should be buying when your intuition wants to buy. So what should happen when you make the right decision is this. You should feel a lot of resistance to buying. You should see that the market's afraid. You should feel not confident in buying, but your